Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwideri. We're going to be wrapping up the show, and we're going to be wrapping it up with a snippet from a very, very wonderful event that we hosted last night. It was at the Military Museum here in Johannesburg, as part of our hashtag Global Voices campaign. And this time around, Salam Media chose and thought it was imperative that we shed a bit more light on what's currently happening in Sudan and the humanitarian crisis and the genocide that's unfolding there. We brought together a room full of experts, a room full of activists, Sudanese people who, in their own words, gave us a bit more insight on what's really happening in that part of the world, the dynamics that are at play, and how us as South Africans should be a bit more actively involved when it comes to the cause of the Sudanese people. And it was a really, really wonderful conversation. I think we planted a seed of awareness when it comes to Sudan. It's a genocide that is largely forgotten, and we're trying to shed a bit more light to it because it is important. It is here on the African continent, and ultimately it affects all of us directly. So if you missed that conversation or you couldn't make it to the Military Museum, take a listen to this.
To be very clear about. If you don't have these three things, things will go wrong. And this is exactly what happened. Number one, how to deal with the former regime. This is very important because the former regime knows every nail that is stuck somewhere in the state. So if they want to fight you, they just turn their back against you and you start, moving around until your forces are exhausted and you again fall. So you have to know how to deal with the former regime. And in the case of Sudan, the government of al-Bashir had to fall because even the members of the NCP party, that is National Congress Party, the members themselves were fed up with the way the government was being performed because al-Bashir was surrounded by a group of opportunists. So even the leaders of NCP anticipated the fall of the government, which means that everybody was prepared for change. So meaning that you need to have a clear message that you, the members of the former regime, we don't target you as individuals. We don't target you as belonging to the former regime. You are citizens. As long as you don't have any, no suspicions around you, you are part of us and you have to share with us the change. This is what the message, clear message that you need to send, so as to pacify the elements of the former regime. This is number one. Number two, you need to have a political project that can bring all people together, irrespective of where they belong. So if somebody is a farmer, he finds himself there, he's a teacher, an architect, an engineer, a student, a laborer, everybody finds himself in this political project. Here, belonging to a party is not a condition at all. So this is a political project, and this is exactly what Mandela did. Mandela presented his political project, and the whites bought into it before the blacks, right? So the whites were prepared for change. Now, this is number two. Number three, you have to have transitional justice. The Sudanese people were prepared to see real justice conducted, where the former corrupt elements of the former regime had to be, people need to see them being brought to court, but that didn't happen. So the government, which was led by these groups to which Brother Khalid belongs, they never conducted all this. They let things loose like that. That's why everything was prepared for foreign intervention. And that's exactly what happened. Now that foreign intervention, my dear colleagues and sisters and brothers, had three-step strategies to take over government of Sudan. Number one, they wanted to do it through agreement. And that agreement gave RSF forces 10 years to integrate into the armed forces. And given the speed whereby these groups were growing, 2 years or less were enough for them to swallow the army. That's number one. So the army discovered this and they refused to sign the agreement. Now, strategy one, step one failed. The second strategy is to conduct a military coup. And it was a military coup in the strict sense of the term. Everybody in Khartoum, one month before the war, would sense that there is something fishy going on. The amount of arms that RSF brought from Western Sudan, it was something amazing. Everybody saw it and people were scared. That's number one. Number two, the fact that they attacked the house of General Al-Burhan. They attacked. Why? And they announced it, that they want to kill Al-Burhan or his surrender. They wanted him to surrender. It was a military coup. Beside that, they went to the radio station. Somebody called Izzat, something Izzat. Izzat is an advisor of the RSF leader. He went to the radio station and he had the statement to broadcast it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, he couldn't be able to operate the radio, and they occupied the radio and the TV stations. This is step two, it failed. Step three is the war. And in that war, they were very 100% sure that would defeat the army. The army stood its ground and the war failed to allow them to take over the state, and they controlled Khartoum and all the middle of Sudan. And I told you about 80 to 90% of Sudan was under their control. The army stood its ground and managed to push them until the peripheries of Kordofan and Darfur in the west. So the idea that the government of Al-Burhan is a coup, we know how coups operate. Mr. Hamadok, in fact, when Hamadok came as a prime minister, the amount of reception that he received, never even elected president ever received. All the Sudanese people were very happy and unanimously accepted this Hamadok as a prime minister. But unfortunately, the political forces that surrounded him failed him. They failed him completely, terribly, because they never had any project for ruling the state, apart from running and chasing the elements of the former state, and they played politics with them. They played politics. You know what they did? They never confronted them. Okay, you took our leaders, we put them to prison, let them rot. Some of them even died in the prison. There was no resistance of any kind. And these people were running, looking to get some kind of resistance, so they played politics with them. Now, So anyway, Al-Burhan is the one that gave he took oath here. This guy, what's his name? No, the Prime Minister, Hamadok. Hamadok took oath before Al-Burhan, and it is Al-Burhan who removed him. So it's that military coup. It was an agreement between the political forces between the political forces and the army, and things went wrong, and the army decided to get. So we don't want to go into details of this, so that it is a bit controversial. But what I want to conclude here is that, please, what is going on in Sudan is a war of invasion, and there is no way we can say this is a coup and we have to support this or that. The other question is, he raised how to end the war. Yes, everybody wants the war to end. We want the war to end. Nobody actually wants war, absolutely. But how? Al-Fashir was besieged for 2 years. People ate animal feed. Some of them died. A lot of things happened. There were calls for cessation of hostilities, and opening corridors for civilians, for aids to go to, but nothing happened. After Al-Fashir has fallen in the hands of the RSF, then came call, let us stop, let's stop and make peace. You can make peace, for somebody who is a security threat. Security threat means threatening the lives of citizens. If it is a military threat, yes, you can talk to somebody who represents a military threat, but not to someone who represents security threat. You have to understand this. The last question is about South Sudan and the indigenous people. The concept of indigenous people, it might sometimes cause us a problem. In Darfur, you got local tribes who are indigenous in Darfur. And you got tribes that came, the Arab Bedouins or the nomads who came from the Sahel. Some of them settled in Niger, Chad, and Sudan. It is the same tribes. You got clans scattered in these countries. But in this war, most of them came. And they wanted to take the lands of the indigenous people and kill them and take over. This is exactly what's happening now in Al-Fashir at the moment. So maybe you mixed it with South Sudan. South Sudan, there was a narrative that was surrounding even in South Africa here. When John Garang used to come here in South Africa, he used to say the Arabs did this, or the Arabs took our land, or Arabs are doing this. Now, he was talking this language because in South Africa, when you talk about whites and blacks, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So in the mind of someone who comes from that background, it makes a lot of sense, the Arabs. So when Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma went to Sudan for the first time, she was looking to see the Arabs. Where are these Arabs? They said to her, no Arabs. These are the people who are called Arabs. And from that time, believe me, John Garang never given a red carpet. He just received him because he loved them. The concept of Arabs in Sudan is not something that comes to your mind. When I talk in Sudan, when people say Arabs, meaning that is people who come from the Bedouins, and people who live in the urban areas are just normal Sudanese. The distinction. So South Sudan and West Sudan, there are indigenous people who are people of land, and then the Arabs came from migrations, long migrations, but there have been intermarriages, and you can hardly tell who is Arab and who is non-Arab. Yes, including this lady now. This lady is in Arab or African? Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ramadan and I spoke initially, and I can tell you that when we spoke initially, we were 100% aligned. The more you delve into your politics, Ramadan, the more we are not aligned. So, my message to Sumud, represented here by Khalid Dahab. However many entities or political parties you say you represent, you have no representation on the ground in the war zones. You have no, I sent you a WhatsApp this morning asking you about who's on the ground. You did not respond. Every distorted message you speak or write is a cause for a lost life, a raped child, a beaten woman, a starving society. And these lives, Sumud and Khalid Dahab, are not your own lives to give. You cannot condemn the United Arab Emirates because your leader Hamdok resides in the United Arab Emirates. As far as I'm concerned, Hamdok is bought. He is bought by the United Arab Emirates. Sumud, I've asked multiple times, when you take the stage at global events, when you speak on numerous platforms, when you have access to high-level boardrooms, who do you represent? Is it a minority elite, or is it a silent, silenced, and disenfranchised majority? So thank you, Mariam and Salah Media, for supporting our dissemination and fundraising initiative. We cannot confuse our messaging now. We cannot confuse our messaging now. at a time when people are calling on us to save them from the terror of the Janjaweed. I am deliberately focused on the needs of the people and not some abstract political aspirations, either by my colleague here or by my colleague there. Thank you so much.